Now, joining me now is Victorian Senator Sarah Henderson. Sarah, welcome to the program. Look, first, before we get into foreign acquisition of critical infrastructure, I just want to ask you for a comment about the interview I just did with Drew Pavlo and his case and what it has revealed about the ties between China and the University of Queensland and potentially other universities as well.
Sharri, good evening, and certainly I think there is very good reason to be concerned about the actions of the University of Queensland. Of course, as you know, we have called a number of MPs and senators have called for a foreign research oversight agency to oversight the research being conducted in our nation, including in universities. Of course, our government has taken a very strong stand on foreign interference and foreign influence in our universities. But I have to say this is incredibly concerning and it's very disappointing to see the actions of the University of Queensland, quite frankly.
Yeah. Look, tonight you've come on here to call for a ban on foreign investment of critical infrastructure. Why do you think this needs to happen and what are the national security concerns?
Well, Sharri, I first raised this concern in my first speech in the Senate last October, and we've now seen more evidence of concerns, particularly when it comes to concerns about cyber attacks on our telecommunications networks and our power grid. And a number of weeks ago in the United States, President Trump made an executive order banning the use of foreign electric equipment on US power networks. So it's obviously very clear that there is increasing concern in the United States about malicious cyber attacks on its power grid. And I think this really bolsters the case for tough action here in Australia. And mind you, led by Scott Morrison when he was the Treasurer, we have implemented the Critical Infrastructure Centre, which of course oversees all of our critical assets when it comes to foreign acquisition. But after the Port of Darwin fell into foreign hands, Sharri, I think there is an increasing case for the protection of of our critical assets so that they do not fall into foreign hands.
Yeah. Look, as you say, the US has raised it and Senator Mike Pompeo raised it this morning, the Secretary of State in an interview on Sky News as well, as you mentioned. But, you know, in terms of banning all foreign acquisition, you know, this isn't a problem, though, is it, for all foreign countries? It's just the countries where we have concern that there, you know, might be a security issue and you know, China being one of them, but there are others. But, you know, is it your view that you can't differentiate here?
Well, our foreign investment regime is all about protecting the national interest. And when I talk about critical assets, we're talking about our ports, our airports, our data networks, communications, and of course our power grid. So we're talking only about critical assets. And of course, they go very much to ensuring that they receive the highest level of protection, particularly with cyber attacks becoming more and more of an issue. So I do think, Sharri, the case is building for a complete ban on foreign acquisition of our critical assets. And we've seen some very immediate action and very recent action in the United States to support that.
Now, just as China has accepted a World Health Assembly motion to call for an investigation into the origins of the virus, you know, this investigation is also, or the motion is also looking at starting the inquiry when the pandemic is over or when countries have, you know, dealt with the height of the pandemic. You know, do you think this is there? At that point, it will be too late to properly be able to examine the origins of the outbreak and any evidence, you know, may no longer be there?
Well, I'm very proud. I might just start off by saying of the call by our Prime Minister and Foreign Minister for the independent inquiry, and it's very significant that all of the countries, of course, have now signed up to this inquiry. I mean, I think it's important that we get on with this as soon as possible. Many countries are still very much in the grips of the pandemic. And of course, here in Australia, we're working very hard to reopen the economy and, mind you, keeping it a COVID-safe economy. But Sharri, I do think it's important to move as quickly as possible in relation to understanding the origins of the virus, the spread of the virus, and all of the other related issues that an independent inquiry will look into.